Shalom, welcome. We're reading Parashat Vayyeitsei. If anyone would like to read, please raise your hand, or this is how you can raise your hand in order for me to see you and call on you. And if you want to draw on the screen, you can use the annotate. And we're reading through the narrative as Jacob comes back from Padan Aram. He's done making a covenant with Laban at the pile of rocks. And so here he is coming from Beersheba towards Haran. Let's see, I think I have that right. Who would like to read? Cheryl, would you like to read? I'll give you two verses. This is such a short itty bitty verse. Oh, turn your mic on.
Oops, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. ויצא יעקב מבאר שבע וילך חרנה.
Very good.
הרנה.
That's right. Yeah. Vayyeitsei Yaakov. Jacob went out, Yatsa, mi Be'ershava. So this is still
Mm,
Beersheba, but it's in pausal form here.
yeah.
And Vayelech, and he went Haran. That directional hay says he went towards Haran. I'm starting to doubt whether I've got the place in the Torah reading correct. Is this before he's gone to Padan Aram or after? Anyway, let's keep reading. Go ahead, Cheryl. This is yours as well.
ויפגע במקום, ויפגע במקום וילך, וילך,
Vay,
וילך שם כי,
it's not a kaf.
וילן,
Vayalen. Very good. Vayalen.
וילן שם קיבה השמש, ויקח מאבני המקום, וישם מרעשתיו, מרעשתיו, וישכב במקום ההוא.
Very good. This long word does have an O vowel right here. So that's the sheen on the right and the O vowel on the left. Mera'ashotav. Vayifga. Paga means to touch or even strike, but
Yeah.
here it means something like to arrive, like he touched the goal, he touched the place he was going to, he arrived. Vayifga b'makom, and he came to a place or to the place. I say a certain place because it's definite. Ba makom instead of b'makom. Vayalen, this is coming from the root lean, to lodge for the night. Sham ki va hashemesh, for the sun had come, gone, set, risen. Not to mention shemesh is feminine, but here it's being described with a masculine participle. Yeah.
Mm.
Vayikach me'avne hamakom, and he took, missing lamed. Vayikach me'avne hamakom, from the stones of the place, that one. Vayasim, and he put. We know the verb seem is to put or place. It has the same pattern as vayalen. So what's the root of vayalen?
Victor.
Okay. You are correct. It's a vayiktal.
Oh.
And sorry, what did I ask? May I have the root, please, of vayalen?
Yalan, Yalin.
If the root of
Oh,
vayasim is seem, then what's the
Lin.
root? Lin. Very good. It does show up a handful of times as lun, so we probably have an original vav there that switched to a yod, but whatever. Lamed yod nun. Vayasim, and he put the stones, mera'ashotav. Not exactly sure what this means 100%. It's got the root rosh in it, which is head, but it has the mem at the front, so it's the place of the head, maybe, but it's plural. Places of the head. So apparently some something plural around the head. Now, the translation will typically say, use the rock as a pillow or the stones as a pillow. Not a very soft pillow, but I digress. Vayishkav, and he lay down, bamakom hahu, in the place, that one. All right, questions on this before we move on to the next one?
Quickly,
Huh?
on loon or lean,
Mm-hmm.
um, the the um, the shirk appears to be interchangeable with the yod, and I found that on where there's um, a double shirk on in Genesis 27 from last week, actually in this class. But it is that a common transition for the vav to or yeah the vav to be replaced by a yod?
When you say shuruk, do you mean to say segol?
No, a vav with a shirk.
Oh, well, let's see. Do we have a shuruk somewhere on this page? We have a cholam vav, but a shuruk or a shurik is the dot in the middle. The question is it common for a vav to
Maybe
replace
the
a
last word.
yod?
The last word.
Yeah, okay, here's a shuruk, of course. Okay, so it sounds like you're combining two questions in the one. If I can, I'm going to parse them, kind of analyze them apart a little bit. If the root is lamed vav nun, is
Mhm.
it common for a shurik to show up? Yes. Is it common for a vav to switch to a yod? The answer to that is also yes.
So the question is, was it originally a yod and then it was replaced by the vav at a later date or the
No,
shirk at a later?
the opposite.
Oh, okay,
Apparently the vav is more original, the yod is later.
okay.
But the point is, yods and vavs switch around a lot in Hebrew. I could give probably a handful of examples off the top of my head. Um, Pretty much any roots that start with a yod, most all of them started with a vav originally. So yalad was a child, and it turned into yelid. Uh, Yashav was originally washav. He sat, and things like that. And typically, when you see a vowel vav, it is reminiscent of a consonant vav that's simplified down. Like, for example, here we have the word makom, mem at the front, is the same. Hang on a second. Ashotav. No, it's not the same. I'm trying to think of some other words like migdal or ma'ale or milkach, anything that comes with a mem at the front, and then you have the three root letters, mishmar. Um, this is going to be the same pattern, but instead of getting an ah vowel here, it gets an o. Why? Because the vav interfered. It should have been makaom, and that ow sound turned into o, makom. Let's see. Yeah. So now something I do want to point out though is that in the Vayyeitsei, the yods and vavs will often go missing if they're in the second position and be replaced by something else. Yods get replaced by segol. What do vavs get replaced with? Vaya. See, this comes from the root kum, same as makom. Where's the vav? It's missing. Instead, there's a kamatz katan, which is an o vowel, albeit a short one. Vayakom. So vavs change out for kamatz katan, yods change out for segol. All right, who would like to
Thank you.
read? Hmm. You're welcome. Who would like to read?
I can.
Go ahead, Tomas. This is
Okay.
yours.
Yes. ויחלום והנה זולם עוצב. Oh, I read not good.
You read Zulam.
Zulam.
No.
Sorry.
Sulam.
Sulam.
Nachon.
Okay. אוקיי, סולם מוזב ארצה, וראשו מגיע השמיימה, והנה מלאכי אלוהים עולים ויורדים בו.
Very good. Vayachalom vehine sulam mutzav arza. Verosho magia hashamayma. Vehine malache Elohim olim veyordim bo. All right, what is a halom?
A dream.
A dream. Very good. So here it's a vayiktol, and he dreamt, or and he dreamed. Vehine sulam, and behold, either a ladder or a stairway. In modern Hebrew, a sulam is a ladder, but back here during Genesis, it might have actually been a stairwell. There's no way to know. Mutzav arza. This is from, we only have 2 root letters here. What's the root of this word? The dagesh tells us there's a missing letter. Whenever you see dagesh, you should suspect
Nitzav.
nun. Natzav or nitzav. Very good. So mutzav. To be clear, though, there is kind of a confusion that happens between nun tzadi bet and yod or yud tzadi bet. They mean the same thing. And in fact, there was probably if you take this verb and put it into the nifal, you get nitzav, and then somebody took that as the root. So whether it's yod tzadi bet or nun tzadi bet doesn't matter. They mean the same thing. My guess is it was probably originally yod and then confused for nun, but it doesn't matter, and I can't prove it. Mutzav is a participle belonging to what verbal pattern? What binyan?
Hu'al.
Huf'al. So
Huf'al.
caused to stand. That's right. Huf'al. You're correct. And so a ladder was caused to be fixed or stand. Arza. This is the word eretz with a hey at the end. Why the hey? What function or purpose does the hey serve? Habaita.
Is it a construct?
It's not construct. What's the difference between bayit and habaita?
Means to the house.
To or towards. That's right. So here we have arza, towards the earth. So the ladder is set up towards the earth. Okay. It's in the heavens. That's the next part. Verosho, and the head of him. Of whom? The sulam. So the O refers back to the sulam. And the head of it, magia. Is this also a participle?
Well,
yeah. All except for 2 of the binyanim have a mem at the beginning of their participles. So mutzav is a participle, magia is a participle, but they're 2 different verbal patterns. What does this belong to? It's not hufal. The patach and the chirik yod clue us it is a hifil.
Oh, the hifil, yeah.
The hifil. Hifil in all the yiktol forms has a patach, right? So yashkim. This patach right here, plus this chirik yod, tells us that it is a hifil. So this is the same patach and chirik yod, but now it has a mem. So it's a participle hifil. Naga is to touch. So magia caused it's to arrive. The top of the sulam reached or arrived. Hashamayma. Hey, there's another hey at the end. What does it mean?
Directional.
Towards the
Yes.
heavens. Right, exactly. Vehine malachei Elohim, who are malachei,
Angels,
angels or messengers. Vehine malachei Elohim, angels of God. Olim veyoredim. Are these participles?
I think so.
Yeah, but they belong to the simple binyan kal. They have an o vowel, and then they have a participle or adjectival ending, olim. So that is the action of going up, ascending. Yoredim, the action of going down, descending. Bo, what is this referring back to?
the ladder.
Back to the sulam.
Uh-huh.
All right, who's the next reader?
I have a question.
Go ahead, your question, please.
Sulam and Mutsav are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know your vocabulary, how do you can tell which one's the verb and which one's the noun?
Ooh.
I mean,
Okay, that's a
Sulam's
good,
the ladder. I know that's, but if I didn't know the vocabulary, how would I figure that out?
right. Um, that is such a complicated question. What's happening is that we have an irregularity with a verb that makes it look like a different pattern. Right? We have like sulam, mutzav. They both have an u, a dagesh, and a kamatz. U, dagesh, and kamatz, right? So they must be the same pattern, right? No, because these three letters are the root letters, whereas this one has a missing root letter with a preformative mem that makes it a participle. So they look exactly the same. How can I tell the difference? As soon as I see that mem at the front, I'm thinking it's part of the pattern, even to a fault. Even when it is actually the root letter, mem at the front almost always is part of the pattern. So the mem is what tips it off for me. And now that you ask your question, though, another direction that my mind is going is, are there any other nouns that have this pattern? Ooh, with a dagesh in the middle? Can anyone think of one? I'm tempted to do a quick search and find out. I would be very much willing to know. I happen to have a dictionary that I've written, a program that I've written that allows me to search things in the Bible, not just modern Hebrew, but in the Bible, and I can do it using patterns. So a consonant, let's see, a consonant with a shuruk under it, another consonant with a dagesh in it, and another consonant. Oh no, it needs a kamatz or patach underneath it. Which one was it?
Kamatz.
Yeah, kamatz. So we're going to take that and put a kamatz on it. And then another consonant. Let's search. Yeah, we'll ignore all. Oh, we can't ignore dagesh. Tell you what, I'm going to ignore dagesh for just a second because it could mess up our begad kefat letters. There we go. And let's just find one per Strong's. Go. Ulam, ukal, uma, guba, gulach, chubar, chutzav. Well, chutzav doesn't count because it doesn't have a dagesh. Kulam doesn't count because that's a pronominal suffix. You know what? I'm going to search just the absolute forms.
Wow, that's impressive, Jared.
All right. Searching, searching, searching. Oh, we need to ignore Dagesh. Well, we should at least have Sulam. And not even Sulam showed up. Bummer.
Is Chumash that same pattern? Chumash.
Yes, it is. Excellent. Chumash comes from Chamesh, 5. Chumash is something that has been divided up into 5 parts. Huh. Wow. Now there is obviously a verbal pattern, a pu'al verbal pattern, but that's going to have it should have a patach, right? Like here, I think this is it's calling the passive participle, of course. What was the kata? Cheryl, I'm trying to remember what was the word that you found with a reduced kamatz under it?
Reduced.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Ohel.
it was a feminine singular word that had a reduced kamatz under a kuf. Lukacha. See, there's another one, lukach. All right, so it is a passive, it's called a kal passive participle, and it seems to show up quite a bit. Nice. It says 77 results, but not all of them are gold. Leg nicht alles auf de Goldwaage, nachon?
So, passive part, and my English grammar isn't very good.
Okay.
So, a passive participle.
Right. So,
translate that.
right. A passive, okay. So, a participle is usually an ongoing action, like I am running. But a passive participle is an ongoing action of something that is being done to the subject. So, I am being loved would be a passive participle. And now there are 2 different passive participle types that show up in Hebrew. This is not the common form, ah. The common form would be like like exactly like the opening is closed, sagur. But here it appears to be a different pattern that has a strong dagesh in it. Wow. That's a really deep question. I'm going to have to do some research. But why isn't Sulam showing up? That's what I want to know. Sulam should have shown up. Here, you guys can't see. There we go. And no, without a. Oh, was there a vav in it? No, there wasn't.
No.
Sulam.
No.
Maybe there should be.
Now let's turn off the Nikud. All right, it's 5551. So what I can do is search for all of the occurrences of this word. Oh, look, there's one in the whole Bible. It's a hapax legomenon. It shows up only one time in Genesis 28:12, precisely where we're reading. It's hard to make a conclusion based on such a rarely occurring word. I mean, for all we know, it could be a borrowed word into Hebrew. But how would I know how would I be able to differentiate what's a noun and what's a verb? It's primarily going to be that mem right there. That's my final answer.
Also, sulam is also the word in modern Hebrew for a chord. It's a musical. With the key,
progression?
the musical key is a sulam. Yeah, it's whatever key is
Like
a
a
sulam.
Oh, is
Like
it?
the key of
Oh,
G is
yeah.
sulam.
The key of G. It says, I love it. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, who would like to read next?
I will.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Vahine Adonai Nitzav Alav Va'omar Ani Adonai Elohe Avraham Avicha Velohe Yitzhak Haaretz Asher Ata Sohev Aleha Lacha at Nana
Mhm.
ul Zarecha.
Very good reading. V'hinei Adonai nitzav alav vayomar ani Adonai Elohei Avraham avicha ve'Elohei Yitzchak haaretz asher ata shochev aleha lecha etnena ulezarecha. All right, so I wanted to point out this word right here again. What binyan is this?
Nifa, you say that before.
We said it before, obviously. Wait, it's not a PL?
Nifal.
Well, what would the PL look like?
PL is nit.
Hmm?
Hey, it wouldn't have a kamatz, would it?
Oh, right. So this would be a patach instead, but it would sound the same. Nitzav. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And what if it were not what if it were not a participle? What if it were a nifal kal 3ms? It would be ni tzav. Okay, you see where I'm going with this, right? So nifal kal 3ms, or excuse me, katal 3ms is nitzav. PL katal 3ms would be the same. So I appreciate you, Cheryl, noticing the kamatz there. But the point that I was trying to get at, not so gracefully, is that here we have another instance of a possible pattern mix-up. It looks like it could belong to either one of them. And it's because of the weak letters that are involved. Because of the weak either yod or nun, this nifal now looks an awful lot like a potential PL. And that touches a little bit on the question from earlier. What's that?
What is the dagesh in the tzadi?
A missing root letter. I agree with you that this most certainly is a nifal participle, which means the nun is a part of the pattern. And so the missing root letter here, like I said, is either a yod or a nun. Doesn't matter which one because we can't prove it.
On the PL form on your Kotel example on the bottom, is the sere patak interchangeable on that middle?
Yes, I'm afraid so. So especially if it's in close connection with the following word, this vowel in the PL is utterly useless. We learn it as right? Like diber. That's supposed to be the PL form. Diber. Absolutely correct. The problem is you actually look at it in the Bible, this vowel is so useless. Sometimes it drops to shva, sometimes it drops to patach, sometimes it lengthens to a kamatz. It is utterly useless in trying to determine the binyan of the verb. And so yes, there are plenty of places in the Bible where you get this ea pattern, and it is a PL. Shilach, for example, is a PL, and it means to send away or send off to freedom, but it should be shileach, but probably because of the chet, it prefers shilach. Still a PL. Okay, let's see. V'hinei Adonai nitzav aleha, alav. So the Lord is stationed or being stood or standing above it. Is that a good translation? What if it's on the ladder? Al does mean above, but al can also mean about or upon any part of the sulam. Vayomar ani Adonai, I am the Lord, Elohei Avraham, the God of Abraham, Avicha. There's your stress right there. Your Av, your father. Elohei Yitzchak, the God of Isaac. Haaretz asher ata shochev. Is this right here a participle?
I think so.
With the
Yes.
O vowel? Sure. Shochev, the one that you
Yes.
are lying upon. Lecha etnenna. Ooh. Do we wrestle this or not?
Itaya, Yikta.
Okay, so here is the verb.
Oh,
Here,
Hanek Noon.
yes, very good. Energic noon. There's an added energic noon in here, and a strong dagesh because something went missing. 1,000 bonus points to anyone who can tell me what went missing.
Um,
Vav.
Vav?
Eina. Ja, dieses He.
Agreed.
Tav.
Agreed. It's a hey. It's a
Mhm.
missing hey. It's a missing consonantal hey. Let's start from the basics. Eten has an aleph at the front that means
I
Mm.
will.
Will.
I will.
I will.
There is a a tav and a noon with a missing root letter in the first position. What's missing? And assimilated as a dagesh? What's the root of eten?
Noon. Noon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
noon, tav, noon, which we know means to give.
Tan.
Okay,
Ten.
so I will give eten. Then you get na. The noon is shoved in after natan. That's your
Two.
energic noon. And then what was an original ha suffix, 3fs,
True.
the consonantal hey assimilates in, and all we're left with is na. So somebody added a vowel letter afterward because there's an ah sound at the end of the word. Etnenna. Now, another way to consider this is that we think of the kamatz hey as being the consonant, as being the mark for feminine, singular.
Mhm.
On pronominal suffixes, that's not entirely true. It should be ah with a mapik, right?
Yeah,
That
feminine.
tells us it was originally a consonantal hey. That's because the original form of the suffix was some vowel, either e or a, doesn't matter, ha, eha.
Mhm.
And that's what happened here. The etnenna becomes, or the etnenha becomes etnenna. The hey back assimilates into the nun. Ulezar echa. Okay, easy question. What is u?
And
And
What is l?
Two.
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 Two
What
or
is
four.
the usual form of
Is
and?
The.
Ve.
And why did it change?
Schwa.
Shva,
Schwa.
Uh,
shva under
no.
the next letter. We
Yeah.
can't have two shvas in a row. It's not vula. It becomes ulla. Also, u is closer to the original W pronunciation of the vav.
Mhm.
And what is cha or echa?
Your.
Your
Yours. Good. So
Yeah.
last thing we need to know is zera,
seed.
seed.
Need
Here it's
offspring.
translated as offspring figuratively. Excellent. All right, who would like to read next?
Ay, ay, ay. Mm.
I think I'm wrong. I think this is the reading before he goes to Padan Aram, isn't it? It's hard for me to remember. I read the Bible on a different schedule, so I'm trying to remember which one it is. Let's see, Cheryl, would you like to read?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave my hand up. So
Okay.
if somebody doesn't want to read ever, I'll read. I'm like Jesse. We'll
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
be there to read. Okay. So Vahaya Zarecha Ka'afa Haaretz. Uh, Fartzeta
Ufaratsta
Ufaretsa, ufaretsta, 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 yama, vakidma, vakidma,
There's
the,
a there's a tsere there, but it's hiding behind the kamatz because it
okay,
got shoved over.
vakedma,
Mhm.
vakedma, בצפונה, ונגבה, ונברחו בך כל משפחות האדמה ובזרעך,
Mhm.
זרעך,
Very good.
ובזרעך.
Uvazarecha. We have a lot of hays on the end of these words,
Mhm.
and this just showcases the directional hay. V'haya zar'acha ka'afar haaretz ufaratzta yama v'kedma v'tzafona v'negba v'nivrachu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama uvazar'echa. All right, so he's saying, yes, question?
All directional here.
All directional hay. So what is he supposed to do all of those directions? Paratz. Who was Peretz?
Break
Yeah,
through.
exactly. Peretz, I can spell, with a Z or an S, doesn't matter, is the twin baby that broke through before his brother. Paratz, and you shall break out Yamma. What is
Yamma.
It's a
Yam?
vector.
West.
But yeah.
Yam means west?
Yeah.
Yes,
B.
toward the Mediterranean, the Yam.
Yam is the sea towards that big sea, the Mediterranean, which is west. Very good. Kedma, what's the word kodem or kedem?
Ancient time.
Mhm. Yeah, and all the ancients came from the east, so towards that direction, Kedma.
Ah,
Where is Mount Safon?
In the north.
yeah, in the north. Yeah.
It's in Turkey. It's in the north. Where is the Negev?
The south.
Oh,
In the south.
Rome.
Negba. All right. This is let's see. We know that this, well, do we? Why is this oo?
It's a vegetal.
Hey, before.
The vegetal because ooh, oof, well the
Well,
accents on the
this
last
is a
syllable.
vegetal and it has a
Okay.
v. Oh, I guess the question I'm asking, you're answering okay, both of you are answering it correctly, but in different ways. Got it. Why is there an oo instead of a v here?
It's P before. It's the first consonant.
Right,
Letter.
exactly, because it's a bilabial letter before
P,
bet,
bit, and
mem,
mem.
pay. Exactly, bet, mem, pay, or a vav, actually, it turns into oo.
Yes.
This expected? The. Yeah, that's normal. But what happened here and here? What are these Vayyeitsei? No, they're nouns.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
See, it's not.
The pronunciation is better.
Is it because ancient? That's the original?
Yes, ma'am. So we always think of the as being the standard form of and. Okay, that's how it shows up most of the time. But here, let me elucidate the issue a little bit for you. It was originally va. And since we know how construct chains work and vowel reductions and laziness in speaking, reduced vowels, if it's too far away from the stress, it turns into va. Right? Think of makom,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's a place of, it becomes exactly makom of something else. So va is the original form.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too far away from the stress, it goes to ve. Look at these words, how the stress is right next door.
Mm-hmm.
Va kedma, va negba. Okay, smarty pants. Then, are there ever any places where you have a the with the stress next door? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. That's the way it is. But I'm telling you that the original form was va and it got simplified down. And so maybe it's an incorrect usage in the Bible, or maybe certain things are, how you get in the habit of saying something a certain way, even if it's wrong. Like people saying an ATM machine. It's like, no, it's an ATM or it's an automatic teller machine. You don't start automatic teller machine. Trying to think of a better example. There are some people that would ask you a question, right? And they just continue to say it that way. And turns out there's an English linguist that believes that was probably closer to the original. Anyway, it's cool. And so there's a more original form, and then it turns into something else. And ufaratzta is a vekatal. What does vekatal mean?
It's a
I will.
future.
Yeah, it's an
Vekatal?
incompleted action. Yeah,
Incompleted action.
incompleted. So, and you, ta, shall paratz, break out in all these directions. V'nivrechu. What binyan is this? What form is it? What binyan is it? What root is it?
It's passive.
Okay, passive nifal.
And it's is it
Vekatal?
It is also vekatal. So it's an incompleted future action.
And third person.
Yeah.
Not.
Ooh, at the end of a katal.
And
Three.
It's two MS, two
It's
MP.
not M. It's not M.
No?
It's common because in the katal, both masculine and feminine, they have an oo. So it's a third common plural. Now we could always look over at the subject to figure out whether it's masculine or feminine, and we have mishpachot.
Yes.
Feminine plural. So yes, this is common. And what's the root?
Barach.
Berech. As a barach. Yeah.
What is the word berech?
Knee. Knie. As a knee.
And what's the verb berech?
Knee. To
kneel
bend
down.
the knee. Bend the knee.
Right. It has to do essentially with blessing.
And to kneel down.
Yeah, maybe the two are connected. Blessing, revering, kneeling down. I don't know. It seems to be connected. So v'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpechot ha'adama. Now you can see how they translated this, right? They will be blessed. It's passive. It's incompleted. And it's 3CP, and they, the families, will be blessed. Hang on a second. What is if berech is the verb that says he will bless, and that's a PL, what should the passive form be?
Nivrach.
What about pu'al?
Mevorach.
Yeah. Borach. It should be burach, like this, but the problem is you can't put a dagesh in the resh. So it fixes it by turning this to an O sound, borach. But the point is, yeah, exactly. It's vowel lengthening. But the point is, why did it go over to nifal instead of pu'al? Anyway, I would imagine, well, I don't know if I want to say it that way. Let's just run with their translation. They will all, something related to passive, incompleted, ni, blessing, b'cha, in you. Who will? kol mishpachot, all of the families of ha'adama. How do I know this is a construct chain?
Vowels changed.
Adama.
Call with Makef to the Mishpacha.
I don't mean kol with mishpachot. That is clear because of the makef and because of the kamatz katan. That's very true. How do I know there's a construct relationship between mishpachot and ha'adama?
The vowels are reduced.
The ha?
Because a definite in the Adama.
Definite article.
Yes. And that is a definite complete form, also the complete construct chain.
Right. So we've got kol mishpachot ha'adama, all of the families of the earth. Uvezarecha. They will, this verb to you and to your offspring. Okay. Sweet. Who wants to read next?
I can.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Okay. Wonderful. והנה אנוכי עמך ושמרתיך וכל אשר תלך והשיבותיך אל האדמה הזאת כי לא אעזבך. Not right? Okay. אעזבך.
נכון.
What is that? To leave. Oh, okay. אעזבך על אשר אם עשיתי את אשר דיברתי לך.
Dibarti lach. Very good. Yeah, so there's a pesky kamatz katan right there. How did I know that it was a kamatz katan?
What is the normal root?
Azav.
Is help. Yeah,
Azav
is help.
to leave. No, not azar.
Leave.
Azav.
Yes.
Leave, forsake. But the point is that there's no guttural here, so we expect an O sound in the yiktol. Ya'azov. Zov. Ta'azov. So that's why there's an O. There has to be an O vowel there. Very good. It'll sneak up on you, won't it? All right. Very good. By the way, very good reading. I saw how quickly you were reading. V'hinei anochi imach. And behold, I with you. Where's the verb? It's implied. Ushmalticha. We'll come back to it. Ushmalticha b'chol asher telech v'hashivoti. No, v'hashivoticha. This is not modern Hebrew. El ha'adama hazot ki lo e'ezovcha ad asher im asiti et asher dibarti lach. Whew. What is the message here? V'hinei anochi imach. Behold, I am with you. Is that feminine or masculine?
Feminine normally.
Feminine normally.
Yeah,
but he's talking to Jacob.
This can be a puzzle form, but I must.
It is. It's a revia.
Can be a puzzle.
Yeah.
Now that is a calculation mark for puzzle form.
It's a lesser one, but the answer is still yes. You're still going to find certain puzzle forms on the revia.
Okay.
So there's a little pause right here. Behold, I am with you. Ushmalticha. All right, what's the T? What do we define from this T suffix?
It's
Did I jump too fast ahead? What is shamar?
To guard.
To guard.
You.
Who is
I will guard you.
So what is T at the end of shamar?
I
did it.
I did.
And what's the U at the front of it?
It's the vekatal. It's the
I will do. Exactly. And I will guard you. B'chol, in all, asher telech, that you will go. The idea being in all the places that you will go. What's the root of telech?
Hulech.
Halach. That's right.
Halach.
Halach.
Entschuldigung, ja.
And
Halach, ja.
all right, now what's going on with this word that I was having trouble pronouncing? Vahashivoticha. What's the cha?
You,
What's the t?
I,
What's the va?
will.
Why isn't it va?
It's a vowel
Harmonization.
Yeah, you
same
can't have
animation.
exactly. Yeah, you can't have two reduced vowels in a row, so it's going to become a full vowel. Which one? It will harmonize with that previous
Harmonize. Couldn't think
reduced
of the word.
patach. Right, exactly. Vowel harmonization. Vaha shivoticha. Now we peeled away everything except three letters. What form is this? What root is this? What's going on?
Is een
Is that
Pierre?
What? Why would you say Pia?
Oh?
No.
It's
Ufo.
Here.
The hay is not
Let's
so
start
good.
with the let's start with the basics. Is the hay part of the root or part of the pattern?
Pattern.
What pattern?
Ufo? Maybe.
But there's no oo vowel.
True. But sometimes it changes.
It'll change either to an oo, like who,
Yes,
or it will
can be
change to
Yashar
oo, or it will be
Sheen.
ho. Kamatskatan. Those are your three options for a ho file or hu file. Okay, so if it's not hu file, then it must be he feel. Very good. Wait a second. Hey, wait a second. If it were he feel, then it should have a full vowel. Why did it drop down? That's an excellent question. So
it's a long word, and sometimes that happens when the words are long and the stress gets knocked to the end for some reason.
Oh, listen to you. You're so awesome. Okay, so this is the usual form. Hashiv. Just like when we saw va for and, too far away from the stress, it drops to shva. So also this kamatz, if it gets too far from the stress, will drop to shva. Wait, that's a guttural. Reduced vowel. And that's exactly what it is. Now, why did they choose this reduced vowel instead of some other? Well, because this is an ah vowel. He feels original vowel was ah. Remember the patach? So why then did it? I guess the question we should be asking here is, if he feel is supposed to have a patach, then why is this one got a kamatz?
Yeah, it's normally a da. No. Sorry.
Here, let's compare for a second. Like for example,
it's at the beginning of the word, so it stays.
What stays? Help me understand.
The long vowel.
Well, the long vowel isn't original. That's my point. Why is it long? Here, let me show you, for example, hashkim is the imperative form that a patach shows up in. This patach is original. So we should have had a patach here. Why not? Is it okay to have a patach? No. Is it okay to have a patach in an open syllable?
Can be.
No.
It's not the chataf.
It breaks the Okay, so I'm moving away from the chataf vowel because that was a big long word. We know why this is a chataf vowel. It got reduced down because it's too far away from the stress. I'm wondering, in this form right here, hashiv, why is it a long kamatz? Because it's in an open syllable. Here, let me show you the way it should have been. What's the root of hashiv?
But where is the stress in the beginning?
In the word hashiv, it's on the shin. Okay, so the root here is shuv. Let's clear everything for a minute, clear our heads. Let's start with the root shuv.
Yes.
Okay? If I put the root shuv into the hif eel, originally with its patach, it would have been like this, right? Now I understand that the katal form of hif eel abandoned the patach and put a chirik instead. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about original forms. It should have been patach. Then a shva here. Then a chirik yod here. Now remember, vav is originally a W sound. Would someone care to read this for me?
Hashviv.
Actually,
Hashwiv.
Hashviv.
Hashwiv. Very good. Hashwiv. That this compound vowel right here is hard to pronounce. So what happened?
Very hard, yeah.
It's simplified down to hashiv, which means we now have a syllable division not here, but now it's here. Hashiv requires a long vowel in an open syllable so it doesn't break rouse. The rule of unstressed syllables. Hashiv. So originally patach. In hollow roots, it will lengthen to a long ah, and if it's too far from the stress, it reduces down to a reduced ah. Yay! Whose head hurts? Mine does a little.
Yeah.
El ha'adama. So what does it mean? Cause to shuv.
return. Bring
I
back.
will cause you to return. That is, I will bring back cha, you.
I will bring
El
you again.
ha'adama hazot, to the land, this land. Ki lo e'ezovcha. Why is there not a cholam here like we expect?
No stress, not.
Here, let me ask a different question. This word is kol, right?
Bechol, yeah.
But this word is kol.
Oh,
What happened? It lost the stress. Cholam can show up in a stressed closed syllable, but not an unstressed one. It drops to kamatz katan. Same thing here. E'ezov has a cholam, but e'ezovcha, it lost the stress. Oy, I will leave you. Lo. I will not leave you. Ad asher im asiti, until that. When will I leave you? Not until if I did. What? Did what? Et asher dibarti, what I said. Lach.
Maybe that puzzle form.
Another pausal form. By the way, we think of le as being the original form of 2 or 4. Afraid not. It's la. See?
Yeah.
Here's another example. Lachen. Original form of la next to a stressed syllable. Lachen means therefore or to thus. Ken is a word all by itself. Lachen has the original form. So here in pausal form, the original form comes back. But as soon as we lose stress on this kamatz, what happens to it? Drops to shva. So now all of a sudden it looks like a feminine form. Oh, Hebrew is so complicated. Okay, how about this? If the original form was la, what was the original form of the 2fs suffix? It wasn't.
No.
What was it? Chi. Lachi. Here's your
That's origin, huh?
This is 2fs. But
origins.
Yeah, same as the pronoun at with this strange looking shva and dagesh at the end.
Yes.
It was originally atti.
Yes.
This is the same yod that we see at the end of a yiktol verb, like telchi. You will go. There's the yod. There's the yod. Here's the original yod that you can still see in poetry or ancient forms.
Yes,
Yeah. But we got lazy and stopped pronouncing the E, so that's where we get at and lach. Brilliant. But Aramaic kept it. I think Arabic keeps it too. Okay, so until I did. Boy, I really need to plot this out. It's not making sense. So let me point out all the verbs. I will guard you in everywhere that you will go, and I will bring you back, and I will not leave you until I did what I spoke to you. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points to plot. Holy smokes. Okay, so this is should I flip it because we're doing Hebrew? Should I make this the past and make this the future? Oh, that'll really hurt. Okay, so past tense is over here. Future tense is over here. Let's move forward in time. What's the first verb to go on this time sequence? Pretend it's a story. What happened first chronologically?
Dibarti.
The promise.
Slam dunk. Slam dunk. God promised first. So if I call this, I don't know, A, B, C, D, E, F.
F.
So that's a terrible looking E. That means F goes here. All right. What happened after he spoke?
Yeah. A to E.
Which one? This one?
That's future. That's future. City. No, because when I have done, that's future still. When I will have done.
You see what I'm getting at, right? A CT is an incompleted tense that we usually translate as past, but it's not past here. He hasn't done it yet. Okay, so what happens next? First, he spoke the promise. Then, which of these others goes next?
I will keep you. A.
A.
A and then C.
And D, maybe.
But,
then
I disagree. So far, A and F is good. I agree. B
Then
is
B.
what happens next. He says,
Because when he not
guards.
go, he can't, God can't bring him back.
Very good. He can't bring him back, C, until he goes, B.
Yeah.
Okay, so does C
But
come
he
next?
could D the whole time.
Well, yeah, but he says he will not until. So until has to happen after this. So we know D happens after E, or actually doesn't happen because there's a low in front of it. So let's go ahead and put that. D isn't going to happen in the future after E. So what are we left with?
C.
I'll keep you and bring you.
C.
D. I will bring you
bring you back. All right, so let's straighten this mess out. First, he promises.
Yes.
Second, he says he will guard and keep, and he does guard and keep. Then, and in fact, we could say that these happen at the same time, right? Because wherever he goes, he's doing this.
And
then he brings him back. Then he did all. He completed all that he promised.
Yeah.
Right? He completed all that he promised. And now, because of the odd, he can reserve the right to leave, but won't because of the low. Jacob.
Wonderful.
Whoa, that is crazy. Did anybody get messed up because it was left to right or right to left? Okay, so what I'm getting at in this whole ordeal is that katal here is future. It hasn't happened yet. In what universe is katal, a completed action, future? See,
Biblical Hebrew.
This is the reason that I like to call katal completed rather than past. English has past, present, future. It has several others, but we're not going to get into that. But everything is measured from right now. Has it already happened? It's past. Has it not happened? It's future. Is it happening now? It's present. Hebrew doesn't care about that. It imagines what has been completed or not based on the context. So I will not leave you puts you into the future, and then katal comes after it. What is a past of a future? Well, let's map it out. If I'm going to do this, but first I have to do this. Okay, remember, this is past, this is future, and this is the thing I have to do before the future thing happens. I need to go to the store. I will go to the store, but first I need to stop by the ATM. By the time I get to the store, I will have already gone to the ATM. So will have done something appears to be an acceptable translation for katal if it's following a yiktol. Yiktol jumps you into the future. Katal jumps you into the completed tense. English says will have done something. Okay, questions?
That would be the perfect tense.
Future perfect.
Yeah.
Will have done something is future perfect. There's also past perfect, present perfect. What does the word perfect mean actually in English?
Completed action.
Yeah. So if I said, I have been to Israel, how is that pointing to some completed action? Well, it's taking an inventory of all the times that I've been to Israel up to this point. So the way I teach it is that something that is perfect, or I guess let's call it present perfect, is asking a question about the past because it's important to right now. Right? It's taking an inventory of what happened in the past because I want to discuss it right now. What's the difference between did you go to Israel versus have you gone to Israel? What's the difference? If I say, did you go to Israel? I have one particular specific event in mind. You know, that trip you were supposed to go on. Did you go to Israel? But if I say, have you gone to Israel? I'm wondering about all of the past and not just one specific moment. And it's because it's important to right now. So keep that in mind when you're translating Hebrew to English, that if someone is talking about something in the past, but it's important to right now, then maybe you should use this. Think about like when the moms are naming their sons, God listened to me, so I named him Simeon, Shimon. Is that the best way to translate it?
Yeah,
No, God has listened to me. It's important. It happened in the past, but it's important to now. God has listened to me. Therefore, I am going to name him Shimon. God listens. So keep that in mind as you translate. All right. I think we have a little bit of time left. Let's see. Who wants to read this one? Christina, would you like to read?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. All yours.
Thank you. Vayyeitsei Yaakov Mishnat.
That's right.
Not really sure what's going on here.
Okay, so those three dots are the cancellation mark.
Okay, I got it. Sorry. Mishenato
Mm-hmm.
Vayomer Ochen Yesh Adonai Bamakom Hazeh Va'anochi Lo Yad. This is a Yada Yadati. Sorry.
Yadati. Okay, so you did very well and you got stuck in the places that I thought you should get stuck in. Nicely done. Yeah, when you run into certain things and your eye goes, wait, what's that? Then all of a sudden you stop mid reading. You're like, wait, no, I need to get back to that. The more things you see, the harder it is to read. I agree. But it's also teaching you, I don't know, to look for those details that can help you in some other way. Like this right here is a cantillation mark that has a bit of a pause after it. Or this one right here is pausal, whatever that means, right? Vayikatz Yaakov Mishnato Vayomer Achen Yesh Adonai Bamakom Hazeh Va'anochi Lo Yadati.
Mhm.
All right. Vayiktol. What binyan is this? What's the root?
E-A.
You see the EA, right?
Mhm.
So it must be.
Niet aan.
eh.
Nee?
Look, if it's
Ephah?
yiktol, if it's a yiktol form and it's nifal, then that means the first root letter should have a strong dagesh. Think of like yilachem is nifal, and it has the EA, but there's a strong dagesh there for the missing noon.
Mhm.
Yilachem. So because there's no dagesh here, we can rule out nifal. So what else is it?
Oh,
PL?
PL should also have a strong dagesh in the second root letter, but
Yes,
that would be this one right here. So we should have right there. So what else?
why can't it be a kata?
You're saying katal, but that's a tense. Do you mean kal?
Oh, I don't know my verbs, so I'm just stabbing at this, so forget what I said.
No, I'm not going to forget. Katal is I'm sure we can all benefit from this. Katal is a tense that tells us that it's a completed action. And like yilachem is a yiktol, right? That's its tense. The katal form would be nilcham, like this. That's a katal form. And this is just jargon or grammar speak for completed action. And this one is grammar speak for incompleted action. Yiktol is always incompleted, katal is always completed. But now when we get over to what binyan it could be, we only have 7 to work from, and it's not nifal, and it's not PL. And your question, I wonder if your question was, why can't it be the simple one?
Yeah.
Why can't it be kal? Well, does anyone have an answer for that? Why can't it be kal?
Vayye.
I was going to call it call.
Sure.
Yitol.
There is no kamat.
Okay. Do you mean right here?
It's patach. Okay,
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to basics. Yik tol has an e and an o. Here we have an e and a
Ah.
Is that a
Yeah,
problem?
sad at the end. That's
Is,
a problem.
is it a problem to have an vowel there in call?
That is a stative.
You got it. Okay, so we can find like yik rav has an vowel because it's stative. What are some other stative verbs? Give them to me. Yim. Well, I guess this one's not. I was going to say yim la. That one should be yim la like this, but because of the aleph, it lengthens to be full. Chaser. So yeche sar.
Okay, I'm going to make an outlandish
Okay.
observation.
What's that?
That's actually that dagesh shortens the yod, so you got a triple yod. So actually, you have there's a yod before that patak
Right
in
again.
this lineup.
Can you account for all 3 yods?
Yes.
Okay, what's the first one?
Um,
Actually,
so
that's the hardest. That's the hardest question. What's the third one?
that's the vowel.
This must be a
Uh,
root letter.
okay, you're
Root.
correct. You're correct that it is currently a vowel, but I think that Thomas is right that this comes from an original yod root. So let's
Oh,
call
okay.
this root number one. Now, what about the
Oh, okay.
middle yod?
It's a Vayyeitsei.
It is a vayiktol, so this yod means
Uh, past.
it means he is the subject.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
now the hardest
Yes.
one of all. What is this
He.
third yod? That duplicate I guess I'll call it assimilated into the strong dagesh.
Mm,
Ain't nobody know that one.
mm.
It's probably from the vayiktol prefix vav patach yod,
Yod. Uh-huh.
which assimilates into the following letter as a dagesh.
Yes,
So then the
because
question becomes, why is there a yod here? Well, the theory says that it's probably because this comes from the verb Hawaii, what we know better as haya.
oh,
So the original root of hey yod hey is actually hey vav, and look, it's a final yod. Hey's a vowel. So where did we get
ay,
this
ay.
vav turning into a yod? Well, there are 5 places in the Torah that still preserve the vav. Aramaic still preserves the vav. God's name
Yeah.
preserves the vav, and we have a there's an analogy to it with the verb chaya. Who is Chava?
Eve.
Eve.
Eve. And why is she called Chava? Because she's the mother of all
All
Chaya.
living.
It's the
Yeah, all the
same root.
living.
Alive. Of
It's
all
the
life.
same root. So we see Vav changed to Yod in Chaya, Vav changed to Yod in Haya. The original was Vav, and that's the
Cool.
Hey Vav original Yod that turns into a Mater Lectionis of God's name.
Nice.
So if
Very
the
nice.
Hey is swallowed up because it's a weak sounding letter, we're left with Vav Patach Dagesh, and it means, and it was Yikatz. He was waking up. So what? Okay, so there's a different side to this explanation that I haven't even touched yet. So now archive everything I've said. Now flip over to a new page. There are 2 different forms, yaktulu and yaktul, in Proto-Semitic languages. Yaktulu is the future or incompleted tense,
Mm.
and yaktul is the preterite tense. Yeah. So just that oo on the end is what made the difference. The problem is Hebrew doesn't have vowels. So they have yaktul and yaktul for incompleted and completed. You can see where I'm going with this. They're identical.
Mm.
How do we differentiate the
Mm.
two? Hebrew
Mm.
decided to add a prefix in front of the yaktul shortened forms, and that's where we get, and then it happened that yaktul.
Mm.
This is also the reason why Vayyeitsei forms apocopate and become shorter, whereas Yiktol forms don't. The Yaktul is shorter than Yaktulu, so Vayyeitsei forms are shorter than Yiktol forms. Anyway,
So if we actually said that as Vayayachatz, it actually makes sense.
okay. Uh, Hawaii cuts. Yeah, Hawaii cuts. My guess is that it happened early on that Hebrew speakers forgot that the vav on Vayiktols came from the actual verb to be. And so they just started using it like they do, any other prefix and. And that, my friends, is where Vekatal is born. Hey, if we can add a vav and flip it to a past tense, then how about let's add a vav and flip it to a future tense? Sounds good. So vekatal is a faux pas verbal tense. In
Do you do me a
analogy,
favor and write that word, the first word, with all the letters that should be
oh,
there?
mercy. You bet I can. Okay, so we've got hey, vav, yod,
Mm-hmm.
yod of the yiktol, first root letter yod of the root, second root letter kuf, third root letter tzadi.
Mm.
No wonder
Now,
they had to do something.
Yeah.
never in time has the Bible ever written out a verb like this. Okay. There aren't
Yes, yes.
any, you're not going to still find the hey attached. You're not going to find the yod not having assimilated. Sometimes you won't even see a yiktol yod differentiated from the first root letter yod. Think of yelech. What's the root? What's the word yelech?
Halach.
Right.
He. He.
Where's the first root letter? I don't know. Here's the second and third. Well, we got a vowel
And
kind of changed right there, but it's gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a he gone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So hopefully somebody learned something from all of that. Vayikatz, and he awoke. He was startled awake. Mishnato, lishon,
Huh?
lishon. What's the root of lishon?
They,
Sheen Yashan.
And
Yashan.
oh, it's there you go. It's
Shin,
yod,
Nun.
shin, nun. Very good.
Nun.
So why is there a dagesh in the shin?
Missing
Um,
Yod.
Missing yod. Very good. It's not a noon this time. It's a missing yod.
yes.
Mishnato, from his shena, his sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Vayomer, and he said, Achen, surely, yesh, there is, or there is
Mm-hmm.
yod he vav he, bamakom hazeh. Ooh, remember our discussion about how patach turns into kamatz in hollow roots? That applies to this here, makom. Instead of,
Mm-hmm.
instead of makwam, right? It should have been makwam,
Crown.
but that right there turned into an O sound, which then brought the syllabification to here, makom. Bamakom
Makom.
hazeh, in this place, vanochi, and I, lo yadati. In Hebrew, in English, if somebody asks you, "Hey, do you know what 2 + 2 is?" Yes, I know. But in Hebrew, do you know what 2 + 2 is? Yes, I have known.
Mm.
Yadati is past. When Jacob asks the herdsman, "Hey, do you know Laban?" They say Yadanu, which is completed. Well, of course, because they knew before he asked. So it's kind of a past tense. Yes, we have known. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, all right. Any closing thoughts or questions? Sounds like my family's just come home, so I'm going to go have dinner.
Great lesson.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Glad you enjoyed it.
Wonderful.
Very
Fantastic.
spirit.
Look forward
Thank
to
you
seeing you
very
all next week. Until then, lehitrot
Yitrot
v'shalom.
shalom.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
Hi. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Hi. Oh.